Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
So today I like to share with you another topic from the Bible, which I think is very important for all of us. This one, this PowerPoint was done by Simon. This time he helped me to do the PowerPoint. So probably all my children have helped me to do all this PowerPoint, and one day I have my own PowerPoint when they are working. So I hope that I can learn to be better, but I hope that this lesson will be helpful to all of us as we continue our Christian life. So today I'm going to talk about this topic, things that cannot be destroyed. Things that cannot be destroyed. When we think of the things that cannot be destroyed, what are the things that cannot be destroyed? What are the things that cannot be destroyed? Or the things that can be destroyed? Because when we think about things can be destroyed, are those things that are pertaining to earthly things. Things that cannot be destroyed pertaining to God. Okay, what are the things? So today we will look at only 4 things that cannot be destroyed. Of course, there are many other things, but this is what we will only cover today for today. What is the first thing that we cannot be destroyed? Is the throne. What do you mean by the throne? When we look at the throne, is defined in the Bible as the symbol of kingly power and dignity. When we talk about God's throne, when we talk about throne of God, throne, who is enthroned? God. Solomon's throne was noted for its splendor and magnificence. What do I mean by this? Let's turn to 1 Kings chapter 10 and see. We know that Solomon is the wisest king in the world. Nobody can beat his wisdom. And everybody says, even the saying now is as wise as Solomon. So if we are wise, who can be comparable? Is Solomon. Because God gave him wisdom because he asked for wisdom. He asked for wisdom, and because he asked for wisdom, he was also given other blessings, riches. And he was the richest man. If we look in 1 Kings chapter 10, it just explains here the splendor and the glamour of his riches and of his reign. Moreover, the king made it a great throne of ivory. Just imagine the throne of ivory, and overlaid it with refined gold. So these are all the precious stones and precious metals. There were 6 steps to the throne, and a round top to the throne and its rear, and arms on each side of the seat, and 2 lions standing inside the arms. All this reminds us of some of the things we see in the TV show. Sometimes you can see all this emperor's throne and all that. How there is lions and all these decorations to lead to the throne. So this is verse 20. It says, and 12 lions were standing there on the 6 steps on the one side and on the other side, and nothing like it was made for any other kingdom. So this is about the throne. But what about the New Testament talks about the throne? When it refers to the throne, see the next. The throne of God is referred in Hebrews chapter 1 verse 8. If you look in Hebrews chapter 1 verse 8, here the Hebrew writer says that Jesus, God calls Jesus Thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. And when he, verse 8, but of the Son, that is refers to of Christ. He says, who says? God says, Thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. Here we know of the deity of Christ. That means Christ is also God. See, a lot of times people say Christ is not God, or Christ is Nabi, or prophet. Many of our Muslim friends say Nabi is Isa. So I say Christ is God. He says Christ is not God. So, and our Jehovah's Witness friend says Christ is a God, not the God. A God, A is more G. More G. Christ is a God. So, like any other gods like. But no, here he says, Thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. So, God, actually Jesus is God in the flesh. As we know in John chapter 1, it says, the Word became flesh and dwelt among men. That's right, God. So let us to go boldly to the throne of grace to obtain mercy and grace to help in time of need. Also, it's made in Revelation reference chapter 5. Book of Revelation, chapter 5, it also makes reference to the throne. Verse 6, And I saw between the throne, within the 4 living creatures, and the elders a lamb standing, as if slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God, and sent out into all the earth. And he came and took it out of the right hand of him who sits on the throne. So who is on the throne? Christ is sitting on the throne, as in Revelation. A cry of salvation to God and the Lamb. Revelation chapter 7, verse 10. So this is what cannot be destroyed. The rule, the sovereign cannot be destroyed. And God, Jesus is also God, and we have this, He is the creator. God is the creator of the world. He is the creator of man. God is omnipotent, and God is a spirit. And this is what is spoken of in Acts chapter 17. Let's turn to Acts chapter 17 about the attributes of God. See, if Jesus is God, He has all these attributes. He is also the creator, together with God. Acts chapter 20, verse 24 says, For whom, where I was the God who made the world, that means He's a creator. We are serving a God who made the world and all things in it. And He is Lord of heaven and of earth. Does not dwell in temples made with hands, neither is served by human hands as though He needed anything, since He Himself gives to all life and breath and all things. And He made from every nation of mankind to live on all the face of the earth, having determined their appointed times and the boundaries of their habitation, that they should seek God if perhaps they might look for Him and find Him, though He is not far from each one of us. God is everywhere. He is everywhere. He is omnipresent, omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient. And there are 3 words in omni. That means it's everywhere, powerful. All potent is powerful. He's our powerful God. He's an all-seeing God and all-knowing God. That's right. And God is a spirit. We are worshipping the God who is a spirit. And He seeks those who are worshippers in spirit and in truth. That's why we need to be spiritual minded. Very important to be spiritual minded. So what is the thing that is given to Christ? the authority. God has given authority to Christ. That's right. And He has enthroned Him this authority and gave Him authority, and what did Christ say? All authority in heaven and on earth is given to me. That's right. Before He gave out the Great Commission. So we are not to be afraid, because Christ has God has given all authority to Christ, and He is now head over all things. He has power